Aaron Macy, hello there. Time to have a look back at what was the mounting yard at, where were we? Randwick on Saturday. Hello.
How are you, Dallas?
Very well, very well. We'll straight into it because there's a bit to talk about. The first race, we'll go race by race. First race, Counter Attack came back well, looked pretty well tuned up, especially for a Waller horse, and did the job on a track that had a little bit of the sting out of it, which is suitable to him.
I thought he'd come back a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger. I thought he definitely had a lot of improvement from the run, but was still at the same time somewhat forward for a Waller horse.
Takedowns run third there. He's got a stack of improvement. He was paraded big and definitely will be better on the dry.
Yeah, he's definitely better on the dry and over further where he can sit a lot closer and just roll along in front or at least in that forward half of the field.
I think we probably saw what Haptic's about. Not easy to lead and win from the inside on Saturday, but I think he's a bit now what you see is what you get. He's going to be a sprinter around about that distance.
Getting back to the dry track will be key.
Will help him, but you're expecting anything.
He's
he's a second, third runger, isn't he? Really?
I think so.
And the other horse that I think we just throw in the bin now forever is Red Zell. You were in the fan club of that. Have you sacked it now totally, or what's the thought?
I don't think he's up to this grade, and not yet. Or maybe he needs to get his nuts cut out or something like that. Another one to mention was that horse of mine.
Realised potential. Nice type.
Very nice type.
We had a bit of a blue, and apparently the camp. There's problems in the camp.
There's lots of problems in the camp.
Yeah. There are lots of problems in the camp, but that isn't one of them there.
Yeah, certainly.
Well, for those who didn't meet it, Aaron and I had a debate because Aaron likes to pump the tyres up about these horses and say it's a really top flight horse and blah blah blah, and some of us get sick of hearing that every horse that you're coming through the midweeks to Saturdays is a superstar. Nick, would you concur that?
What's this?
Yeah, Aaron. Oh no, hang on, it's all right.
He's in the
Anyway, but yeah, it's a very nice type of horse.
Very nice type of horse. He's Bernardini and he's desperate to get back to dry ground.
Yeah, he just couldn't possibly go on, and a real sinker too.
Yeah,
he might be too big. He might have that Clydesdale sort of look to him.
No, I don't think it's got anything to do with that. I think it's just that one thing with Bernardini's, I'm yet to find really one that goes through the wet.
Yeah.
He just cemented that again.
Yeah, too big. All right, that's the first race. Saddler's Lake, one horse that will improve on the dry. What he's doing there, I reckon you can add 4 or 5 lengths to. This horse is a good horse. We've said it for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, you can say that this horse.
I got this one.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was one, and he still looks to be improving. Still gets his head up a little bit. I think that's partly his action.
Yeah.
But,
there you go.
Yeah, like he's just improving.
Cameras off
He
for
looks
an
enormous.
Just feel like that. Anyway, yeah, but he looks good, doesn't he? I mean, he really. I think I made the comment on Sport or what do they call it? RSN on he paraded like he is a good horse on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we've already seen it, but the way that he was walking, the way that he was doing things, that's good horse territory.
Yeah, he's always gave me the impression that he was going to be a good horse, and he's still getting I think Cruz is getting a little kinks and that out of him, but he's really
probably more next prep, really, isn't it?
By the autumn, I think he'll be a real top line horse.
Yeah, absolutely. Rudy was surprisingly pretty much the same as it was the start before. I expected to see some improvement in it. If anything, third up, I thought it was a little soft.
Yeah, his coat wasn't exactly gleaming.
No,
like that.
Yeah. Did you go there expecting to see Rudy?
I thought he'd
tuned up
game
on.
Yeah. I think the thing with Rudy is I think the trainer's quite keen to get him at these top because he's run so well in these Group 1 races, but I still think he's just off winning them.
He's not.
And he should be tuned up for those races, and he wasn't.
That's right. One horse I want to make mention of, I think it's the horse to follow out of the meeting. Not sure where, but obviously the progression is index linked. It is a horse that can smash out numbers when it's right, and it came back in fantastic order and ran a pretty nice race. If you have a look closely at it, it sort of just didn't.
He was one that I found out of the trials who looks like he's come back in great order. He looks to be flying. His comeback is better than ever. His run, I thought first up was great. Lots of improvement, as you just said. Yeah, there'll be a race there somewhere. I'd love to know what Chris is setting him for. He's not a top horse, but I think he'll definitely win one of those races, whatever he's set for.
Wonder what he will be set for. Anyway, he has spent a lot of time in Melbourne, obviously. Cassiano Ladd came back, and probably that I think I said on the Punter show, it was the pretty obvious moment of the day when it ran away, and I was on Dupam, and Dupam's chasing. You go, oh yeah, really? What was I thinking? But,
yeah, it's one of those ones that you said in hindsight's a beautiful thing.
This is as hindsight as anything.
How simple is this race?
Yeah, you've got him running over, putting a hole in Dupam, Wild and Famous, Oxford Poet first up, and Darcy Wood, who obviously failed because of the bad barrier. We have mentioned Cassiano Ladd. Well, he's second up off a long spell, but looked in great order.
Oh, he's done an amazing job with him. It was like we said, he's a horse slightly raced, showed good ability as a young horse, come back against horses that prove themselves to be nothing better than midweek horses, and he looks a genuine Saturday horse.
Darcy Wood, we mentioned it a lot. I don't even know why we're bothering, but trying to follow this stable, this Hawk stable, is getting harder because he actually paraded well on Saturday when he's paraded shit for the last 3.
Yeah, he still didn't look perfect, but he looked a lot better.
Lot better. He looked like he did first up.
Yeah, he's come back to improvement instead of deceleration.
He's gone, like similar to Messine, even though he's improved, he still hasn't gone.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, that's it. Move on from that. Race 4, Rebel Dane. As we often see with horses that are gelded, throat operations, those sort of things, they're really tuned up first up, and that was as close to as good as we've ever seen Rebel Dane.
Yeah, I came in, it was a race where I was going on delectation before I was scratching, singing out the rough hope. Wasn't quite sure to make a Rebel Dane. I thought if he looked well, I'd be backing him, and I came in the yard and went to the pick of the yard. He was tuned up. It's probably got, one thing with Gary Portelli's horses, you know, he has them tuned up.
Yep.
They're there.
I wouldn't be suggesting following Rebel Dane all that much.
I couldn't, no. I could probably find he's a little bit like Catkins. I want to be on him first and second up, and then I'm happy to
And then it was obviously too the win courtesy of a gun ride by gun.
Oh, he rode to the tree.
Where he ball and muscle, and he made the same sort of the improvement you would have thought first or second up. Shiraz was the one that was showing signs of agitation and probably showing signs that he may well have had enough.
Yeah, that's possible. He looks a little bit unhappy. He's starting to do a little couple of things. I know, especially you and Glenn hate to see. And I think
especially when you could be beaten up too. Like he's been at the top of it. It's not as if he came back and didn't. He's been right at his top for what now, 4 or 5 runs.
And the thing was, he's run out of his skin.
He's run great.
The wrong part of the track.
He's run great. I mean, like, you know, I think we made the point on the show. If he was at his top, he can win by half a length. But the way that it was run probably cost him a length. Yeah, there or thereabouts. So, Nick's back. Go and find your friends over there. Go and talk to them in the tent. Go.
It's cold over there.
Well, how do you think they feel when it's at 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of winter? Anyway,
he'll be one though. If we see him have another start this prep, we'll be keeping it very close.
I think I think you'd think now. I mean, how many horses really only have 3 runs in a prep at their best, and he's been up now for 4 or 5 with the road trip down. So it's difficult territory. Hot Schnitzel was very forward and went like Hot Schnitzel can, and Delectation and Rock Sturdy both needed the runs. And
I thought Rock Sturdy was probably my horse to follow out of the race.
Yep, can't disagree with that.
Love the way he hit the line. Obviously wants further in a dry track. And Delectation was nowhere near as forward as anyone, I think.
No,
I was him to be forward.
I was surprised.
It was the opposite.
I think I made the point that he looks like Chris has got a 1,200 metre down the straight race somewhere over the carnival.
Yeah, about 3 or 4 runs.
Yeah, that's where he's looking like. The fillies, Sempre and Labira, a horse we all like. You like too, Nick?
Yeah, really like her.
Yeah,
really, I think a mile she'll be very hard to beat.
Configured wrongly for her. Forced up 1,400 metres.
Should be 1,000
guineas.
1,000 guineas?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm thinking it could be the 1,000 guineas size. And I thought the other little horse there, Honesta, I thought she paraded well without, like those greys are always funny to look at sometimes.
Yep.
But I thought she looked well without being screwed down.
I know you said that on breeding she's a wet tracker, but on type she's not a wet tracker.
Yeah, well,
she's a big girl.
Yeah, she's bred to swim, and so at least you know she gets through it.
Lake Geneva went well again.
Lake Geneva flying.
Really not much to say about the stars in Kermadec, Royal Descent, Pornichet. All made that 2 length or so improvement that we expected them to. All looked in really good order, and probably are all going to be right at their tops next
I thought
run or two.
Kermadec, the way he paraded was, I'm going to be peaking in my next 2 to 3 runs.
Yeah, and I think you can say the same for all of them too, and especially with Pornichet getting. Probably it's the one who's been more forward than the other ones, but it's also the one that needs further.
Well, he's the one. He's just as soon as he hits 2,000, he becomes a different horse. As we saw last prep.
Yep. Okay. Preferment looked like it was progressing.
I just wish he hadn't failed on that heavy track that day in the Derby, because if it was a dead 5, I would have had something on him. I liked him looking. He looked like he was that 1 run off as well. And
that's what I'm saying. It was more progressing, and I think there was a lot to do with probably inside lane versus the lane, how he was able to fight back and beat Magic Hurricane. But Also, too, Magic Hurricane had improved, but probably hadn't improved to the level. Glenn and I both thought he was probably just that half to 1 length below where we thought he would be, which, you know, at the end of the day, you're looking at the margin there, which is a neck or whatever it was. That could well have been significant. Did you think the same about Magic Hurricane? Just was probably a half length to a length below where you thought?
I don't know where I thought he was going to be. I just kind of thought he looked well. We've still had improvement.
Still improvement.
He's still on the way.
I expected less improvement to be up his sleeve. Complacent raced well and he's looking great. He's
a horse coming back on such a long run. He's ran enormous and he's looking well.
And your horse?
I wouldn't be surprised to see him only have one more run and then go for a spell though also.
Mm-hmm. All right. And who shot the barman? Back on the fence. Bit of a DMP.
It's just one of those runs. He'll just improve as he goes through the prep. Lots of improvement in himself.
Lovely, and Faralitos is a dog, ruling Dynasty 1 in a low-ranking race.
He's one that I still think can keep making that progression. He's got that style to him.
I didn't like him at the price on Saturday. He's won a race by doing not much.
He did get held up a little bit. And
he did. But the reason I didn't like him is mainly because I thought he was already looking for 2,000. So he can improve a lot over 2,000. And the rest, I think you can forget.
I think there's a horse that could have. I wish a bloody one was Miss Fine.
Miss Fine, yeah.
She was at half a run off. I think next start she'll peak. I could see her winning against the mares.
She could, yeah. There could be one of those low 1,900 metre mares races.
There'd be something like you should place her in one of those races. I think she'll be very hard to beat, and then she usually tapers away after that next run anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because she can get very thin. All right, mate. That's the mounting yard from Saturday. Hopefully, there's a bit of an insight there, and we'll have a look at the Barrett trials in a second.
Sounds good.